Well, hello, my name's David Thompson and I lead Grace Church across our 4 sites. And this evening we had the first of our 2 Vision Focus evenings. And as usual now, I thought it'd be helpful to give a summary of what we covered this evening so that if you weren't able to be there this evening, you at least get a flavour of some of the things that I was able to share. This is of course part 1. And we gather again on Thursday for part 2, so do come along if you're able to. And if you're not, we'll try and do another video as well for later on that evening. So let me just run through some of the things that I talked about. I started by mentioning our trip to the Philippines and to say how wonderful it was to be able to take a team to the Philippines, to see the part of the world that we've been involved with as a church for so many years now. It was an awesome, life-changing experience, and we want to make sure that we're able to feed back to the church properly. And so look out for an article in Grace Life. We're also going to take some time on a Sunday coming up fairly soon to give a bit of feedback. And I also want to make sure we have a whole Sunday where we focus on the work of compassion, and we'll hopefully do that in the autumn. So watch out for that, but thank you for praying and sort of coming along on the journey with us via social media and all those types of things. We also gave an update on how our 4th site is going in Havant, and thank you for being a part of that, whether you're in that site or not. This is something that we are doing as Grace Church together, and I'm tremendously encouraged by how we have begun in Havant. In some ways it's hard work, but there's been so much encouragement, and the venue serves us well, and we've seen new visitors coming every week. And I've been there a number of weeks, and I apologise to all other sites that I haven't been able to be around as much, but it's been wonderful to see our Havant site take off, and it's a pleasure to be there, and it's a viable church, and it's serving that community well already, and I have every hope and expectation for the future. I wanted to talk about eldership. We talked about some eldership appointments that we have in mind for Grace Church coming up, and Grace Church is currently looked after by a team of 5 elders. That's myself and Chris Kambangi and Joe Leach and Thomas Bishop and Simpson Charlton. And I think in the next few months I want to add 2 people to our eldership team. And so one of those people is Steve Blaber, and I'm sure that'll be no great surprise to anybody. Steve came here with Anne and Joel as well back in October, and they've all been such a huge blessing to us from the moment they arrived. Steve comes with many years of eldership experience. He came straight onto our staff, and he's been operating as part of our eldership team. Of course he has, and just a huge blessing. Steve and Anne together bring an enormous pastoral gift, and also just with the things that have been happening with the building, I just could not have done it without Steve, and so I would commend him to you for eldership. And secondly, I'm delighted to announce that we're hoping to make Johnny Holder an elder as well. I've been meeting with Johnny for the last year or more, and so impressed by the way he has grown in maturity as a man of God, how he's able to take pastoral weight and effectively disciple people with grace, but also effectively. And he's already bringing leadership into our Bognor site, and he's been meeting with us as an eldership team for a few months now, and so I would just be delighted to bring Johnny properly onto the eldership team and appoint him as an elder. So the plan is that we go for eldership appointment on Sunday the 3rd of June. and we'll do that all together. We've got John Groves down for the day, and we'll have lunch together as well. Between now and then, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear feedback and comments on both Steve and Johnny, and positive or negative is fine. Any biblical comment you have that just, it's important that as a church we recognise our elders, and so please do feel free to get in touch. So that's new eldership appointment. I spoke this evening about our site teams, just to remind us who our site leaders are, and also to give the slightly sad news, well, not slightly sad, very sad news, that John and Molly Oldfield feel that now is the right time to be beginning to plan to move away from Bognor and to move nearer to where their family live. And so their flat has gone on the market this week, and so that's a public thing, isn't it? So I just felt it was worth just telling you that is their plan. And John and Molly have been and are currently such an important part of our Bognor site in particular, but our church as a whole. And although they're not going immediately because they've got to work through lots of things, but it's helpful to know that is their plan, and they just feel it's the right time to be nearer to family. It's probably Ipswich that they'll be going to in due course. And then there's another team change that I need to tell you about, and that's at an eldership level, and that's that. Having told you who our eldership team is, I also need to say that one of that team is going to be leaving us soon, and that is Chris and Catherine Kimbangi, who feel it's the right time, and I'm totally in agreement. You see the hand of God in this, and they are going to be moving to Guildford, and Chris is going to be taking over as the lead elder of the Commission Church in Guildford, which is called Centrepoint Church, and Chris will take over that role from September. And so it's with some sadness, isn't it? Because Chris and Catherine are so important to us as a church and so dearly loved, and they've been here from the beginning of Grace Church. Chris was saved into Grace Church. They have served the church tirelessly. They've come through into leadership, and then Chris has come into eldership and onto staff. It really feels like there's a sense of them coming of age, and now we're sending them away from the family home, and that's right, and that's God's plan for them. It feels like we're giving away our best, and there's always a bit of a gulp in that, but also a huge sense of faith, and I just know that God's blessing is in that for them, for the church in Guildford, and also for us here as well. It's good to be supporting another commissioned church. We're part of this family together, and it's part of our calling as Grace Church to be a sending, resourcing church. And when we see a need, we can think, oh yeah, we can fill that need, we can help there, and it's good to do that. Let me just say something about what will happen practically. Just to say, we're not going to rush to fill the full-time role. For one thing, I'm quite picky. The church is too valuable for that. I want the right person, and I want there to be a real heart connection. I do think we will get there, though. We're not going to spend the salary somewhere else, but we're just going to trust God's timing in that. In the meantime, we have met as elders, we've talked about it, and I'm encouraged. There'll be a stepping up in many ways, but we can make sure that all the valuable stuff that Chris and Catherine have been doing, we can take care of. So, for example, in terms of bringing some eldership oversight to all our children and our young people and even students, Joe Leach is going to pick up that role. In terms of the Chichester site, Steve Blaber is going to bring leadership there, bring leadership to the site team, and also lead pastorally into the Chichester site, and make sure that's pressing forward for the future, and I'm sure I'm going to be involved there too, making a nuisance of myself probably. Thomas is going to take a bit more weight of the preaching, and another key role is the safeguarding that Catherine oversees at the moment. She's the safeguarding coordinator, and I believe I've got a solution in place for that, but it's just a slight work in progress. I can almost announce it, but I won't yet. But I will do soon. It's covered, and that's good. We've got a plan. There's a myriad other things that Chris and Catherine do, which we will work through in due course. We'll try not to drop any balls. I believe that God is in this, and He is faithful, and I'm excited for them. And in a little way, I'm excited for us too, to see what God does and how it develops in the future. There's just one other thing to tell you about, and that is that I'm excited that as a church we are going to be putting in place plans so that we can become a CAP life skills centre and run the CAP life skills course. That's going to be focused mainly from our Bognor site, but I'm sure we'll grow from there. Isabella Phillips is bringing leadership to that, and she's going to be trained up within CAP to run a CAP centre for us. It feels like a huge step up for us, and I'm really excited about the opportunities that will bring to build new bridges into the community, even to link with other agencies, but most importantly to be Jesus and be His hands as we work into the community to redeem lives for Jesus. So that's most of what I talked about this evening, and I just want to say at the end, the information about Chris and Catherine, please keep that to yourselves. Don't post that, don't share that until the end of this week that we're in, because it's important that people do not find out outside Grace Church until the end of the week. So please do keep that to yourselves if you can. Okay, thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you again soon.